What's up YouTube, Pewsily here. Today I have a question for you. Are you tired of prophecy? Are you sick of losing to that first turn magician, secrets and judgment day? Well, I have an answer for you. It's very cheap, it's very effective, and it's very, very fast. And I'm sure by now you've obviously read the title. That answer is Dark World. Yay, Grapha! It's incredibly linear, but it's incredibly fun. I'll just whiz through the deck and then I'll explain things once I'm done. So the monster lineup shouldn't really surprise many of you. You've got your 3 Grapha. He's just too good. In a normal card game, he wouldn't really exist. A recurring 3k beat stick, too good. You've got your 3 Snow, of course, and you've got your 3 Brow, because there's absolutely nothing wrong with drawing. Then to bolster that up a bit, you've got your 2 Silvers. So they're in there because they are A, able to special summon a lot to help you keep bouncing Grapha, and B, with gates on the field, they are a target for Epidemic Eradicator Virus, and obviously being searchable is great. Being level 5 means that you can make the ridiculous Volcasaurus Gaia Dragon plays as well. You then have the 1 Beige, because being able to summon, bounce a Grapha, then special summon him, bounce a Grapha is obviously stupidly good. Other than that, he's the worst Dark World card. And running off the monsters, 1 Malefic Stardust Dragon. Many reasons for this. Number 1, he's dark for an allure target. Number 2, he's level 8. Number 3, he's easy to special summon and just beat the hell down. He combos well, obviously, with gates and with skill drain. And he has more than 2,500 attack, which makes him compatible with viruses. So all very, very good things. He's just obviously too good to not include at this point. So that's it for the monsters. Very low monster count because you should just be recycling beiges and silver to get back your Grapha, sorry. So the spells, I'm sure you can all guess, is going to be a lot of draw power. You got your 3 gates, your 3 dealings, your 3 drag down. The only problem with the drag downs is that they can conflict with the Malefic Stardust Dragon, but there's lots of ways to get him out of your hand, including just summoning him, so there's always that. So you have those generic 9, drag down is still way too good. You can hit baby dragons when you're up against the dragon players, and against Prophecy, if your hand's going well, you want to hit monsters from their hands, because of course what we're aiming to do is set up an Eradicator virus, so you want them to draw into more spells while you're stripping them of their monsters, and you can make the virus even more devastating than it normally is, because they have no chance of a comeback. Following on from that, the totally OP card destruction. 1 Monster Reborn, so you can bring back Snow and bounce for Grapha. 1 Allure of Darkness, of course I mentioned the Darks before, you really just need to turbo and hit a virus. So carrying on from that, you've got 3 Upstart Goblins, just generic draw force. Moving away from generic, we're now going very specific with 2 trade-ins, of course I mentioned level 8s, Grapha being a searchable trade-in dual target fodder, which you want in your grave as well, makes him very good. And then 2 Advanced Draw. Advanced Draw is difficult to explain until you test it. Of course, you're going to be special summoning Silvers, Beiges, and Graphas a lot. And a lot of the time you're just going to think, well, you know, why do you want to use Advanced Draw when you could just keep your Grapha there for a virus? And the answer is, honestly, what this does, you've plussed 1 to get the Grapha out, so this is essentially a trade-in from the field rather than from the hand, so it works exactly the same way. So if you can bring the Grapha back, you want to advance draw it, and essentially what you're doing is turning your field presence into hand presence, so that you can carry on drawing and dig for those big anti-prophecy cards even more. So if you can, like I say, if you can bring back the Grapha, then you want to advance draw it. It's simple, really. You're turning cards on the field into cards in your hand, which is a good thing in Dark World. And then you have things that you've seen before, so you've got your Foolish Burial, because Grapha is just way more important in this than he is normally, so Spellbook of Fate is a bit of a bitch. Then, onto the traps now. 3 Eradicator Virus, just because you really need to see this. Like I said, it's very anti-prophecy. This card wins against prophecy. There's not a lot else to say. You then have 2 skill drains, so that you can follow up the virus with a skill drain play to shut down Kaiku, to shut down Jaugen, and to shut down Magician. And a bonus as well is if you open, or manage to get both of these first turn, during your opponent's standby phase, you activate the skill drain, you chain the virus, so the virus resolves, then this resolves, and if they had Tower in their hand, it's missed the timing to activate, so they don't even get a search off of the Tower, and obviously you've got your skill drain in play to stop any Magicians they might have. So pro plays there. Rounding off with a 2 Imperial Iron Wall just because it's so good at the moment. This will help in your Dragon matchup. It does help in the Prophecy matchup as well by shutting down Fate entirely, and of course Jalgan. It does have the downside of interfering with gates, but considering that you cannot use this first turn anyway, and a lot of the times you do actually go through all 3 gates first turn, and then afterwards, if you're sitting on an Imperial Iron Wall and a Grapha, you're going to win. It's just that simple. If you've gone through your drag downs and wrecked your opponent's hand, you've managed to get a virus off on them, you have an Imperial Iron Wall and you have a Grapha, there's not a lot of ways out of that, so that's why it's in there. You can replace it if you don't have them, because it's a surprisingly expensive common at the moment. If you don't have any, Gozen Match is an alternative that's not particularly good, but it does ruin the Dragon matchup as well. There's also lots of other anti-prophecy cards. You can even tech in things like Deck Lockdown. So once you've used a lot of your dual cards and you've gone through your snows and things, you play the Deck Lockdown and you sit there and go, hi, and your opponent can't use baby dragons because you can't special summon from the deck. When they banish big dragons, they don't get to search, so it shuts down an awful lot right now. I even sided it against Karakiri and it put in work, so that was fun. But overall I feel like Imperial Iron Wall is the better option. So that's your 40 cards. The extra deck really doesn't matter, you're not running Tour Guide, and the very simple reason for no Tour Guide is that it's always going to get Veilered. It allows your opponent an opportunity to use otherwise dead Veilers from the hand. It allows them an opportunity to preemptively max C, so that whereas they'd have to sort of max C the activation of a beige, this way they can max C the Tour Guide, and you really have to think about your plays from there. It makes all hand traps a lot more dead in this deck. So basically a cut Tour Guides for Imperial Iron Walls. Just because if you do use your normal summon, you want to be bringing back a Grapha. You don't want to be stuck with just a Tour Guide on the field and nothing that you can do with it. It does work very well when you get to bring out the Brow and bounce it. You get a +2 from that play, but so many hand traps now that it's just not worth it, and this is working incredibly well. Like I said, this deck is particularly cheap to play, apart from things like this, and Eradicated Viruses are kind of expensive right now, but for the most part you can just buy 3 structure decks and you have almost all of it. And if you're tired of losing to Prophecy, play this. It will take you a few run-throughs to sort of get the gist of it. I know it's a very linear deck. The idea is obviously just draw, get some traps like this, and a Grapha, and you should win. But you have to be able to plan through what you're going to search with your snow. You have to be able to decide when you want to discard the Brow, whether you want to normal summon it, etc, etc. But after a few plays you should start to get the gist of it. And then being able to play out the bad hands is where the skill comes from as well. So you need to be able to grind, which is, of course, these are very good at, with big Graphas. So there we are. Let me know what you think. If there are any changes you make, please comment down below. And yeah, give this a thumbs up, guys, if you hate Prophecy as much as me.